Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back in another video. Um, Today I'm going to be talking about some uh, video uploader of football contents that technically isn't his. Um, we got in a interesting comment debate that turned very, very hostile. The guy clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. He's like coming up with irrational things. He made very disrespectful comments towards me because claims that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to football. Says that, well, he called me a bunch of derogatory things, but we won't get into that. But we're gonna talk about this guy. So this guy's YouTube channel is basically filled with Baltimore Baltimore Colts history or whatever. So he's clearly biased towards the Baltimore Colts, which, by the way, they don't exist anymore. They are the Indianapolis Colts now, and there's the Baltimore Ravens now. But this guy, by the name of Tim Oaksis334. He's kind of an asshole. Clearly an asshole because the guy doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. Like he wrote a fucking essay of pointless arguments that don't really apply to anything. Now, I can understand him being biased towards his team. Of course, I'd be biased towards my team as well. That's the nature of the beast. But I posted a comment. We're gonna bring it up, so you guys can see it. What I said here. Close that out. I'm not gonna show the video because the video is technically copyrighted by the NFL. He illegally uploaded it. But I made an argument. I might show. Well, we might have to show some clips here and there. That's technically fair use. That falls under fair use. But I wanted to just. I made a comment, and I have it timestamped, and I said, "Never had control of the ball. This would have been an incomplete in today's game." Keyword. I said today's game. I wasn't even bringing up the stuff in yesteryears, though I would make an argument later on, which he totally was being an asshole about. So I was like, so it would be, well, I should have said, I got to correct that, but so it wouldn't have been a catch fumble, return for a touchdown. It would have been nullified. And the Colts would have never scored an offensive, would have never scored on offense, and would have lost because they didn't. The Baltimore Colts scored one field goal all day on offense that night. And for content, we are talking about the 1964 Western Conference Championship game between my Green Bay Packers, I wasn't even alive yet, and the Baltimore Colts. Now, I've watched this game before. I've watched a bunch of the older games. I'm very, very knowledgeable watching some of the past stuff that happened in yesteryears before I was alive. So this guy, I basically said there would have been no field goal controversy because the question is, well, the field goal wasn't good or whatever, and they called it good, which you can look at the angle and you could see that, but really because the goalpost was small at the time, and that was actually, there was another angle that I just recently discovered. But that angle is very, because it's black and white, so you can't really see that much, but you can see the other referee there. But the field goal angle that they show, it's very hard to tell because of where the crossbar is and where the ball is up in the air because it's a straight line. And I did point that out, but of course I'm totally dismissive because everyone's just totally in the mindset that the field goal was no good. But there's been a couple of people that brought up the argument. Obviously, the referee that called it a good field goal said it was a good field goal until he died. But I want to bring this up right here. So I hope it. All right. So you can see this right here. I don't know if it's going to load correctly. I hope it does. Oh, okay. So I kind of have it a little off on the seconds here, but I want to show this. Because this gets to my point that he tried to argue with me later on in the comment section, was that he tried to say that, back then there was no football move, there was no juggling, there was no possession rule, yada, yada, yada. These are all things that were created later on, which that's not true. Okay, juggling the football was always a thing. Like like if you did not have control of the ball in the 60s and you were juggling it, that did not count as 2 feet. That's always been a rule, and I'm going to show evidence for that. All right, I'm going to, from his own team, by the way, which I brought up to him. His own fucking team. Okay, from the 60s. I'm going to bring that up. Okay? So the juggling rule has always been a thing, okay? Just because they didn't have the terminology of, there has to be a football move, or, you have to maintain control the whole way through, okay? Just because those terminologies weren't common knowledge to everybody back then, back in the 60s, because that wasn't what they called it back then, those rules existed. It's just that they weren't widely known because replay wasn't a big deal back then, because there were no replays back then. Only the TV audience had replays. The referees on the field had no access to replays. The networks barely had them back then. So it just wasn't a thing. Challenges weren't a thing. At the end of the day, it was the referee's judgment call. That's how they did it back then. Okay? So even if the referee made a mistake, that was the finals. There were a lot of things back in the 60s I noticed that absolutely should not have been called the way they did. For example, like in this game, the 1965 Western Conference Championship game, the Packers, they completed a huge pass, but it only set up to 1 yard line, even though the Colt guy didn't even touch him. But because he fell on the ground, that counted as a fucking, he was down right there, even though, again, he wasn't touched by a player. I think that was something back then that they did. Breaking the plane was much more subjective back then compared to today, where all you have to do is just have the ball across the plane and you get a touchdown. Back in those days, you actually had to have your body across the plane. That's why I think they didn't award Jim Brown a touchdown in the 64 championship game. But yeah, let's look at this.
And then if we made that first stop.
Okay, where the fuck is I guess I went back too far. I don't want to get hit with any things by the NFL, of course, but okay. All right, so let's look at this right here. This is for research purposes, by the way. Fair use. Fair use! If it will let me. Oh, boy. Why isn't it playing? Oh my God. Why is it? That's not where. Are you kidding me? No. Oh my God.
Material that you have and get the most out of it. And, that's the material.
I'm trying. I don't know why it's not going where I freaking told it to go. Hold on.
That I had, and Manny was the guy that had.
All right, I got it where it's supposed to be. Okay, now watch this right here. Watch this. He throws the ball. Okay, look at this. You can clearly see he does not have possession of the ball. He hasn't made a football move. He only has 1 feet. He gets hit. He gets hit. He gets hit as the second feet is coming down and the ball pops out. How are you going to tell me that that is a fumble? How are you going to tell me that's a fumble? Now, of course, the Colts would go on to pick this ball up because it was ruled a fumble and they would return it for a touchdown. They return it for a defensive touchdown. This is their only touchdown in the game. How are you going to tell me? How are you going to tell me, Mr. What's his name? What's his stupid username? Oh, well, his also name is Baltimore Football History, which obviously doesn't really know that much about his own history, his team's history. I know more about his team history than he does. Let's put it that way. He's just got a bunch of archived films of shit that he doesn't actually own, by the way. Tim Oates 334, whatever the fuck his name is. Okay. So, how are you going to tell me that right there, that's not a fumble? Or how are you going to tell me that's not an incompletion and a fumble? Because it's not. In today's fucking game, that would have been, if it would have been ruled a fumble on the field, which I doubt it would have been, but if it would have been ruled fumble on the field, it would have been overturned on replay. Because he didn't make a football move. He didn't make, he didn't have 2 feet down. Okay. Didn't have 2 feet down. Okay. Before he got the ball joggled out of his hands. Okay. Didn't have possession of the ball. He didn't have full control of the ball. Okay. So how are you going to tell me that is a fumble? Anybody with football IQ knows that was not a fumble. Okay. And his argument was, he wrote a fucking stupid essay about it, which he was hit on the second foot down. No, he wasn't, first of all. Second of all, again, didn't make a football move. Which, and he didn't have possession of it either. Okay, which the possession rule was a thing. Now, he brings up the thing from the 1970 AFC Championship game where the Raiders got a touchdown on this, which I know what he's talking about. It was a bang-bang play, which he is right. But here's the thing. As I brought up earlier, the referees back then made judgment calls. Because, again, they didn't have the replay. They didn't have the replay stuff that the television networks had, which was very limited, but still better than what the referees had. That's why the Renfro play from 1979 was ruled a incompletion, even though it should have been ruled a touchdown, because he clearly had both feet inbounds and possession. So, again, you're wrong. This argument you made is wrong. This play was a bad call by the officials. I would agree. Since he's a Baltimore Colts fan, I agree that the Raiders shouldn't have got a touchdown on that. I don't know if that's what he's saying here, but if he would have argued that the Raiders shouldn't have got a touchdown on that play, I would have agreed with him because it shouldn't have been. He didn't have a touchdown. He clearly was not a catch. But I don't know. I don't think he was arguing that. which I think is stupid that he was not arguing that. He's like, nice try, but yeah, nah, thanks for the comment. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks for the comment, my ass. You clearly wanted to pick a fight with me. He's like, did you have a smoke? You conflated the game in 1965. Yes, I did. Because I was literally talking about I was talking about today's game. I literally even fucking said that in the original comment, you dundlehead. You dunderhead. I literally said in today's fucking game. So how are you gonna fucking say, no, you're conflating from today? Like, that was literally what I argued. Okay? So, wrong. Okay, now what else did he say? Referee. Again, a lot of this stuff is just mumbo jumbo bullshit that isn't true at all. Which is why I didn't even wanted to read it. Like reaching the ball out away from the defender. Okay, yeah, that's a football move. But here's the thing, a football move was always a thing in the NFL. It's just that they never fucking acknowledged it back then. Okay? It wasn't a term. What's a better way of putting this? It was not termed. They didn't have a name for it. Because referees didn't have to overanalyze stuff like they do today because of the replays and stuff like that. You know, you got social media always criticizing referees right away. Not that they didn't back then, but obviously today it will be on Twitter within like fucking 30 seconds on something being incorrect. Okay. Which back then it would take maybe a day for them to realize something got screwed up. That's the difference compared to today and back then. Okay. But so he tried to say that there was no football moves, that there was no, he's like, it's not a catch in the bobbling. There's clearly no bobble. Like, it's like, how are you going to say there's no bobble? There was. And then he says, fucking, oh, you're a retard. You know, oh, yeah, what an insult. What an insult. By the way, he's saying that I don't know anything about football or whatever at the end here. But, yeah, where's the, why is the comment appearing twice? I don't understand why the comment's appearing twice. Yeah, he's like, oh, argue with your boyfriend. Yeah, okay. Yeah, what an insult, dude. What an insult. Yeah, ignorant, football, or both. Like, first of all, I played football when I was in high school. I've been watching football since I was 3. I have a podcast football show with my boy, the Reigning 48, for the past 4 fucking years. Has it been 4 years? We're going on our 5th year. Okay. Plus we used to do prediction shows even before that, like a decade before. Yeah, pretty sure I know more about football than you, dude. But whatever. I've been kind of exposed to football my entire life, so yeah, go fuck yourself. That's what I gotta say to that. Since you want to be a douchebag. But he's trying to say that the juggling rule never existed. Okay. So I gonna bring this up. We're going to show you guys the 1964 NFL Championship game where his Baltimore Colts, that don't exist anymore, were blown out in the second half by the Cleveland Browns. We're going to show we're going to show I'm not going to show everything. I'm going to only show the I hope I can find the timestamp for it. But I'm going to show you proof that in 1964, which is a year before 1965, that the juggling rule did apply. So we're going to show this. Well, I'm not going to show all of it. I'm just going to show a clip of it. I told this guy I was making a video on him, so, it's his fault. It's your fault, dude. You pissed me off. That's why. You made offensive statements. You were an asshole. And, you basically questioned my football IQ, so fuck you. Also, yeah, argue with his boyfriend. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, get the fuck out of here with that. I'm straight, first of all, but making an offensive joke like that is, kind of asinine. But whatever. Let's get to it. Is this the NFL Films one? Oh, this is not the NFL Films? God damn it all. I wanted the NFL Films one. Shit. Oh, fucking A. It went back on me. Aha! Here we go. That's what I want. That's what I want. Oh boy. Let's see here. Might have to hold on. I might have to just search for it, guys. This might take a little longer than I thought. All right, so here we go. I found it. Bombs
away. Orr is behind Parrish. He takes the pass.
Look what he said.
Before going out of bounds.
2 steps.
Did the official miss this one?
Did the official miss this one?
We'll take one final look from another. Pictures prove the ball. We'll take one final look from another angle to make sure.
All right, let's see. Let's see. This is from your own team, dude. Team. You should know this. I know he watched it. I mean, he's just being an idiot now. but I gotta remind him. So here we go. This debunks his entire argument right here that the juggling and the football move didn't fucking ever apply in the 60s.
In the end zone, we see the catch again. Orr is clearly juggling the ball.
Juggling the ball. He literally, the narrator literally fucking says it. Is clearly juggling the ball. Again, this is 1964, year before 1965, and you're trying to say that juggling and football moves didn't fucking apply in the 60s. Okay.
These pictures prove.
Look at this right here.
Must be under control.
Ball must be under control. Ball must be under control. Again, this is your fucking team.
Before the receiver crosses
Before the ball crosses the sidelines. Before the player
was right.
The official was right. That's literally from your own freaking team. 1965 or 1964 happened before 1965. Okay? So the juggling thing existed, which means this play right here should have been ruled the same way. It should have been an incompletion. It should not have been ruled a fumble. That was my point. Now, my point was just applying today's fucking standards, but the evidence I just showed you proves that I could apply 60s contents because literally I just showed you that they just said a season before in 1965 that player was juggling the ball. The player was juggling the ball, which means it's incomplete, even though he had both feet. They even said he had both feet down, but because he was still juggling the ball, it didn't count as a catch because he didn't secure it. Again, this is what I tried to argue with him, and he just totally told, oh, you're wrong, you're a retard, go argue with your boyfriend, yada, 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 bullshit comments. So I even fucking told him. I just told him, like, nah, I'm making a video on you, son. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what he fucking says. I don't care if he responds to this or not. I'm fucking making a video on him. The guy's a complete fucking clown. Clearly biased towards the Baltimore Colts, which that team don't even exist anymore. I felt sorry for you guys until this guy came around. Y'all, I know the Baltimore Ravens fans that are still Baltimore Colts fans. Much love to you guys. But unfortunately, you got this guy on your fan base who decided to be an idiot. I know this doesn't represent all the Colts, but this guy clearly don't know what he's talking about. Like, I literally just proved he's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He clearly is biased towards the Baltimore Colts and maybe the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know if he fully has, I don't know if he's still committed to a Baltimore team or not. But, I mean, I just say, like, go fucking away. You know, your desire to be right. Like, it's like, dude, he called me stupid too. Like, he insults, trying to say that there was no bobble. Like, we literally showed on this footage right here there was a fucking bobble. Like, but whatever. You know, so fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck this guy. This guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Do uploads. His entire content is illegally uploading footage that he doesn't own, by the way. Like, you don't own this footage. You know, this is NFL Films. Like, you don't own the copyright to NFL Films, but you're uploading it anyways. So, unless you secretly work for the NFL, which I highly doubt you do, then you shouldn't be uploading this stuff. But anyways, that's my thoughts on this. Again, I know this guy's salty because of the 1965 field goal that the Packers had with Chandler. I'll get my 2 cents on that because that kick, I get why people think it was a miss. But, there's not really a good angle of it. And if you look at the black and white angle, there actually is another referee over there. But, even though they didn't have two official referees doing field goals at the time. But yeah, I mean, that's my point on this. Yeah. Really stupid, very embarrassing take on the comments over here from this guy. You guys go check the comments yourself. He wrote like a terrible, embarrassing essay and tried to argue shit that is irrelevant. I don't feel like reading all this like mumbo jumbo. Like I tried reading it. I tried reading it last night and I fucking was like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like 3-stop possession of football move. Like, what the, like, dude, again, just because the terminology didn't exist back then didn't mean that the rule didn't exist back then. They just didn't label it a football move back then because we didn't have such a liberalized fucking game like we do now, where we have to fucking literally go by the seconds of everything because, of replays and social media and all this other stuff, which we didn't have that back then. So, again, this all started because I just said if it applied today that this wouldn't have counted as a touchdown. Also, I can go one better. The Baltimore Colts shouldn't even been in this game because the Packers beat them twice. The Green Bay Packers beat this team twice. Okay? They beat them twice. So they would have had to head-to-head over them. Look at this right here. Okay, so look at this damn schedule here. Okay, so this is the official schedule for 1965, right? Baltimore Colts, 20-17 in September. Baltimore Colts at Baltimore, 42-27. The Packers beat them twice in the regular season. So, under today's game, the Colts wouldn't even been a playoff team. All right? If we're talking about standards today, 1965, the Colts wouldn't even have been in the damn playoffs. So they wouldn't even had an opportunity to beat the Packers in the playoffs. Okay? You know what I mean there? Like, we beat them in overtime, obviously. 2 weeks later in Green Bay. But it wouldn't have mattered because it wouldn't have mattered because we would have not had to have played them in today's game. So like that's another thing. I could go one better. It's like the Colts shouldn't even been there. They wouldn't even have been in this game if we're talking about today's rules on how you get into the playoffs. Like head-to-head matchups and shit like that. The Packers beat them twice. All right, back then the rules were different to get in the playoffs. Like the rules were like they had that rotation bullshit that they used to do. Like for the NFL championship games, they would rotate from the Eastern and Western even if you were even if you had more wins than a team or whatever, you would still get the home game. Because if your team was the Western conference champion and that was the site they had to play at, then that was where you would go. And if the Eastern, whoever the Eastern champion team was, that if they were the champions of the Eastern Conference, they would get it. That was the rules back then. They obviously got rid of that. Now they have neutral sites in the Super Bowl, which was the NFL championship game back then. But then of course, they have the seedings throughout the playoffs, based on your regular season record. But back then, it didn't exist. That's why the 72 Dolphins, a lot of people look at them as overrated because they just ran all the time and they didn't really pass the ball as much like, you'd see today. But the 72 Dolphins, they had to go on the road to beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game in 1972. They didn't get a home play. They didn't get the home game. They didn't get the home game in the conference championship game, despite them being undefeated. Despite being undefeated, they had to play on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they won. But you get the point I'm trying to make. So the rules were different back then. The rules were far fucking different back then when it came to the playoffs and playoff seedings like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the only reason why I made this was because of this bullshit. Because I was just talking about today's standards. But, since having to make this video, I literally figured out that the Packers, under those standards, should have been called an incompletion, and the referees blew it. So yeah, that's all I gotta say. That's my video on this topic. Comment, rate, like this video, subscribe. Again, I don't like to typically make videos specifically on users because I don't see the creating drama and all that stuff. But this guy just attacked me relentlessly for no fucking reason, just because I made an argument about in today's game it wouldn't have applied, and he just totally went off on me. So of course I had to fucking make a video on it. But that's all I gotta say. I'm out. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. And that's it. I am the S. Saltzman Goku. I'm out of here. Peace.